800-688-9522, the phone number if you'd like to join us on the phone lines. I'm Steve Gill. This is the Steve Gill Show. You can also send your comments via email, steve@gillreport.com, and I encourage you to go to our website, gillreport.com. And one of the things we've been talking about this week, bring up a little Al Gore update. Andrew, we haven't done an Al Gore update in a while, but Al Gore is receiving an honorary doctorate degree from the University of Tennessee today, thanks to his compelling work in the area of global warming and climate change. He's getting an honorary doctorate.
How the sun in the sky will affect you and I, ask Al Gore. He's the guru of green, 8 bathrooms in Belmead, that's Al Gore. From 83 to 84, 1 degree more, and he'll say what I tell you. Save a lake, save a tree, save a whale by a hybrid plea, says Al Gore. Let's all turn off our lights and quit flushing our toilets.
You know, we may have to update this because he's got that new mansion out in Montecito, California with 10 bathrooms. You know, 8 bathrooms in his Belmead mansion, 10 bathrooms. You talk about a guy who's flush with cash. Of course, we should refer to those as the loo, not the bathroom, because we're joined for the first time ever on the Steve Gill Show by an actual British Lord. Lord Christopher Monckton is one of those who's been willing to take on Al Gore with the global warming scam that has made Al Gore so much money. He is a chief policy advisor to the Science and Policy Institute, a true British Lord. He was in Knoxville yesterday, Knoxville, Tennessee, where today Al Gore is getting his honorary doctorate as recognition of his, great leadership. It'll go up on the shelf, on the mantle, with his undeserved Oscar and his undeserved Nobel Peace Prize. Lord Monckton, welcome to Tennessee and welcome to the Steve Gill Show.
Steve, it's very good to be with you. I hope that you're on one knee, wearing white gloves, bowing low and touching your forelock.
No, I'm just going to slap you a high five like the president greeted Queen Elizabeth.
I like it.
Hey, welcome to Tennessee. You've been willing to take on Al Gore on this issue. He's been running and hiding, screaming away, like a little girl, wanting to avoid a confrontation with someone who actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to global climate change. What excuse does he give for running away from you all the time? You even showed up in Knoxville, where he's going to be today.
That's right. There's no way that the University of Tennessee, or rather the lunatic asylum that was formerly known as the University of Tennessee, was going to allow me anywhere on campus, because those who invited me here to address the rally we held at the convention center open grounds there yesterday in central Knoxville were told, even by the college Republicans and the college Libertarians, that they had been warned off and that nobody who disagreed with Al Gore was going to be allowed to visit the campus or speak on campus before Al Gore's own visit. There's no doubt that he and those who support him, they know that all of this is lies. They know perfectly well that, yes, the weather has got warmer over the last 300 years, but for 270 of those 300 years we couldn't have had anything to do about it. But Al Gore himself has been running from me for 3 long years. About this time, 3 years ago, I had delivered by hand on parchment to one of his many mansions. It's a bit like heaven, Al Gore's mansions. In Al Gore's world, there are many mansions. He has one in Tennessee, which uses 20 times as much electricity as the standard U.S. workman's house. And in that, I delivered this document to him saying, I want to debate with you on international television. We'll do it in Oxford or wherever else you'd like to do it. We'll get the whole world watching. You want to raise the profile of this issue. You're confident that you're right. Why won't you debate? And he has still, to this day, not replied. Well, hey, Al, baby, if you're listening, you can run, but you can't hide.
Now, what we hear from the Al Goreites, from those who worship at the Guru of Green's mantle, is that, well, all the scientists agree that Al's right and you're wrong, and yet we've seen with the UN climate control documents coming out that even the scientists who claim they agree with him don't really agree when you get down to brass tacks.
Well, hey, if it was as simple as they try to make it out to be, then why do they have to produce every 5 years a 1,500-page scientific report trying to explain why it is that they've got a problem. Einstein's theory of relativity can be proved in 3 pages of simple mathematics. But this global warming theory can't, and they know it. They know they have no basis in science for this. And that's why they start talking about so-called consensus. Now, science is not and has never been done by consensus among scientists. It's been done by people like Albert Einstein standing out against the crowd, and he wrote an article in 1905 in a non-peer-reviewed scientific journal without a single equation or piece of mathematics in it, and completely rewrote Newtonian mechanics.
And when you
theory of relativity was born. That's how the science always works.
Yeah, and science is a matter of fact. It's a matter of truth. It's a matter of reality. And when you're having scientists tweak their information in order to get the results they're seeking, that's not real science. And I think you're right on the money on this whole consensus business. I don't think they would have agreed that, if you have some people who think the Earth is flat, some people who think it's round, agreeing that, okay, as a matter of consensus, we'll just say it's a triangle would fit. That's consensus.
And of course, this consensus only crept in when it was basically the taxpayer that now pays for all of science. The private companies and individuals can't afford to anymore because the state's got all the money. And so what is happening is that science is what economists call a monopsony. There's only one paying customer. It's like a monopoly, except it's one paying customer rather than one manufacturer. So you have one paying customer. It's a monopsony. And ever since it became a monopsony, so that scientists are working always for the state, the socialist state, that's when the idea of consensus crept in. And that's when the idea of just doing science honestly disappeared. Because now what scientists have to do is they have to do the science the socialist state wants to hear. Now, if you run a socialist system, as you do in this country now, with the supposed Democrats, they're no longer democratic, they are more socialist, indeed almost Marxist, some of them, what they want to do is to expand the power and reach of themselves, of the state. They want to increase taxation. They want to increase regulation. What better way of doing that than by inventing or adopting this entirely bogus scare and then saying we have to save the people from themselves with the people's own money by taxing them and shutting down the economies of the West. And notice that it is only the economies of the West that are being told to shut down. Is China going to introduce cap and trade? Is India going to introduce cap and trade? No. Are the environmental movement clamoring that China and India should clean up the foul pollution that comes out of their power stations, all the filth and soot which we clean out of ours and they don't? No. They're protesting here in the West because it's not about the environment, it's about shutting down the successful, prosperous, independent, free West. It's not about climatology, as Václav Klaus of the Czech Republic puts it, it's about freedom.
Well, and you're right on the mark on China. They're going to sell more cars this year in China than we sell in the United States. But as you point out, they're not being hit with all these restrictions, all these new cap and trade restrictions on their economy, on their drivers. They're going to be putting more people on the roadways than we do with new cars this year, but they're not going to be subjected to the same standards. Lord Monckton, do you find it a bit ironic that Al Gore constantly uses the flat earth argument to demean those who are skeptical about his man-made global warming theories, when in reality, the flat earthers, those that were advocating the flat earth theory, were the ones who were actually rejecting science in the name of political and religious orthodoxy. And that's really the same thing here. The politically correct crowd are buying into global warming because that's what they're supposed to believe, regardless of what science may show. He's really got it in reverse. It's kind of ironic.
You're quite right about that. I mean, the trouble with Al Gore is that he's really like a small, spoilt child. He can't debate, dare not debate. Indeed, those who tried to get in to his meeting in Knoxville today, where he's been given this Mickey Mouse doctorate by this Mickey Mouse University, which was once a great university and has now decided to become a lunatic asylum. What he did was he put out a notice to all the media that he would not be available to the media, he would not be taking questions of any kind from anyone. And that is because he dare not debate. All he will do, therefore, is to put out insults which can then be picked up by the left-wing blogs and the left-wing media, the CNNs and the Huffington Post and this and that. And they then chatter. They use the same phrases that he churns out. But, of course, none of them, and he in particular, they won't do proper science. When we took Al Gore to court in the United Kingdom and we said, look, innocent school children should not be exposed to this nasty Marxist political propaganda dressed up as though it was science.